Uraume is interesting. In this video, I'll be saying why Uraume is interesting, and the way I'll be styling this video will go like this. The start of the video, I'll be talking about everything that we know so far about Uraume. The second part of the video, I'll be talking about their abilities and things to potentially come. And in the third part of the video, I'll be talking about their plot points and potential further usage in the story and a potential theory that I've made myself. So without further ado, let's start off with what we know about Uraume. So using the data book, we know that Uraume is a 1,000-year-old sorcerer who's very close to Sukuna. From the information that we also know, we know that Uraume was previously Sukuna's cook and was an old sorcerer who has a good relationship with Sukuna. We know back in the day that Sukuna was eating humans, and for this process he needed a special cook in which Uraume filled that void. How close is their relationship? We are not aware of it at this moment of time. However, Uraume has seemed to have a lot of respect or adoration for Sukuna. This was evident in the fact with Itadori breaking out from the ice that was used. They said that, "Be careful because this body isn't yours." Another quote that they did which can insinuate is the fact that he responded with, "Why do I have to wait even longer?" So it kind of indicates with the fact that they have some sort of great relationship with Sukuna, and we can infer that their main goal is to free Sukuna. We also know that they've been working with kenjaku, and they have been beside kenjaku from the very beginning. Now the abilities that Uraume has. At this moment of time, we've seen that their strength is seen to be pretty good, even though we have not seen enough of them. Using the Ice Frost, they easily overpowered multiple grade 1 sorcerers, and it was done with a level of ease. I mean, their curse technique seems to be very broken, and it's another example of potential elemental curse techniques that we've seen in the series. We've already seen someone such as Jogo's, and now Uraume's with the ice, and even though we finally got someone like Kashimo who has curse energy properties of that akin to electricity, we've seen a lot of elemental style abilities which have been very broken. Moreover, we see that Uraume has the ability to reverse curse technique. However, at this moment in time, we can infer it's not of the highest level due to the fact that they dropped to the ground due to the poison from Choso's piercing blood. However, their reverse curse technique seems to be one of the highest that we've seen, and on instant could repair their hand completely. And what makes it interesting with their abilities is that they have a very interesting ability, and it's something that could be seen to take out multiple people at once. We've only seen them use it once, but we can infer that they even have a domain expansion with the fact that they're from the Heian era. With all the past sorcerers that we have seen, they all have a domain expansion, so I don't think it's bad to assume that Uraume will have one as well. Moreover, with the fact that they have a close personal relationship with Sukuna, I don't believe Sukuna would keep people that are overly weak, they feel as if it will have to take care of. And I think Uraume can more than handle themselves, and it just speaks volumes with the fact that we haven't seen enough of their abilities, but they've already shown things which are scary to insinuate that they have a very good level of Jujutsu knowledge. Now, this is going to be some key things before I get to the final section of the video. Uraume's name in Japanese means plum, which means perseverance and loyalty. It's important, and it could explain value to why they have such a good loyal tie to Sukuna. I mean, at this moment of time, there is nothing that we know between their relationship, but the fact that with Sukuna's first introduction and seeing Uraume, we can assume that they have a good relationship. It's going to be something that I hope gets explored in the future. I want to see why is Uraume so loyal, any benefits aside from being the cook with Sukuna, and how does their relationship dynamic work. From what we can assume, Sukuna is the master and Uraume is the servant. However, I want to see how far back their relationship has been gone. So now we got to the final section. I'll be talking about certain things in regard to Uraume. So the first thing is the fact that Uraume is working with both Sukuna and kenjaku. There is things that can indicate that Sukuna and kenjaku are working together. However, there's things that could indicate that also they're not. Firstly, kenjaku, if let's say he did make some deal with Sukuna, he seems to have not made it in the best interest for Sukuna to come out with having a host such as Yuji. And we know with kenjaku being the mother of Yuji, was this a way in which he tried to spite Sukuna? And it could be an indication to potentially breaking the binding vow that they made. We know from the brief POV that we have got that once kenjaku has changed body, he's lost all the binding vows that he did from before and won't be affected by them. So it could be a reason why he enacted a plan of maybe keeping Yuji to keep Sukuna in check. And this could be a speak of volumes to even more to potentially what Uraume has been doing. So firstly, before I go to what I want to see, I'm going to quickly put out my theory. And this is my theory that kenjaku, Uraume and Sukuna have a plan bigger than just the bomb itself. From the brief indication that we saw that Kenjaku has been talking about Sukuna being the bomb. I think Uraume has their own personal interpretation of what they want to do. My guess is Kenjaku turned Sukuna into the cursed objects with the promise that he would keep Uraume with him while they look for a suitable host at Sukuna to live. While doing so, he promised Sukuna that he would reenact the new stage of golden Jujutsu sorcery, and by doing so, he would allow Sukuna to wait this 1,000 years. The first thing that's interesting in terms of Sukuna and Uraume is that fact that no one in the series bar Sukuna and Kenjaku knows who Uraume is. So could this be another person who is a reincarnated sorcerer similar to that with the Ryu and etc, and it could be an explanation to why Sukuna didn't even understand who Uraume was when they first met. The confusion, and then the confusion changed to let's stick to the plan, meaning that they've collaborated of some sort to have some level of plan, and I think it's very interesting in things to come. Tying this back down to my theory, it would explain a lot of why Uraume has been working with both Kenjaku and Sukuna. It could also explain why Itadori was a player before he had initially joined the CUlling games. Upon entering the barrier, we saw that he had been deemed a player already, and that could be assumption with the fact that Sukuna did a binding vow with Kenjaku. So then Uraume could be the person to help and kind of tie in a lot of those goals, and I think it's extremely interesting. And now this will lead to my second theory on Uraume. So is Uraume the game master? I think this is an interesting theory because one, I don't believe Kenjaku would have made this whole CUlling games without him having some level of control. So having somebody as Uraume would make sense, and it could be somebody who's not only close to Kenjaku, but is also close to Sukuna. It could validate both individuals' potential goals. We could still get to the part where Uraume can still look out for potentially finding a new host or another way to free Sukuna, as well as still enacting the plan with Kenjaku and overseeing as the game master. It would put a person who would make sense in my opinion. However, this is the theory and I don't think necessarily there's too much basis to explain it. And then the final thing is, with both of them being alive, has this been coordinated? So, with the first thing is, with what we've seen with Sukuna, and Sukuna being a person who has not died or lost to previous Jujutsu sorcerers, we can infer that with him coming back, maybe Uraume has done something similar and reached a level of enlightenment that we just haven't seen in the series. So maybe not in the similar way with how Sukuna has gone through a new maybe transformation or enlightenment to be able to have a form that has 2 eyes and 4 arms. However, maybe Uraume has done a different thing with their curse technique to be able to achieve some level of immortality by maybe freezing their body. This is going away from the reincarnated sorcerer idea. However, potentially maybe they froze their body for a numerous amount of years in the anticipation of Sukuna. By doing so, they ended up meeting Kenjaku, who said that they managed to bring back their body to their current state, and by doing so he was like, yeah, Sukuna is in this era and he's about to do this plan and this plan. You'll be able to meet him this and this, and it would make sense why Uraume knew exactly when Sukuna was out and went to meet Sukuna in Shibuya. It would explain a lot of Sukuna, Uraume and Kenjaku's relationship altogether, and it could be a different twist from the reincarnated sorcerers, so it's just more of a stab in the dark in that regard. But now I will get to the conclusion. So before I conclude, I want to say I hope that we do get an Uraume backstory, especially one with Sukuna. Seeing both of them in the past, especially chefing it up and cooking up their different humans and seeing their dynamic is something that I think is very interesting. Moreover, I want to see what their origins are, because there are some people who theorize that they potentially have something similar to that of the 3 vengeful spirits, and in specific with the Gojo clan, with the similarities in their hair and maybe some similar features in terms of their facial structure, that people trying to insinuate that they have a relationship with Gojo. However, regardless of this, I think these just speaks volumes, and Uraume is such a big question mark because they are involved with 2 big characters in our story. Furthermore, with them being such a question mark, with one, even their gender we don't know, with their goals and motivations we don't know what is going on, apart from the fact that they're preparing preparations for when Sukuna gets his body back. I think regardless of this is something that is very interesting, and I'm excited to see what Gege does with their character. So this will be the end of the video, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and what are your theories based on Uraume? Do you agree with any of the theories I've made, or do you completely disagree with them? Let me know down below, and thank you guys for watching.